Hello and welcome back to the channel, and as you might have deduced from looking at the title of this video, today we are going to be looking at my Patreon. I asked them to ask me any questions that they would want me to answer, and we are going to be going through all of those questions today, just as a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. This Patreon was only set up because of the drama that happened with Kakashi is hilarious, but basically YouTube, you know, they be hoeing sometimes, you know, it's the way the world works, you know, they are employing me. I don't want to talk bad about YouTube. It's an incredible opportunity that I've been given. I'm thankful for it every day that I wake up and I get to keep talking to you guys. But yeah, you know, anyone who tries to make this work on YouTube, you get it. It's kind of like this constant push and pull to just try to make sure it works every day. But yeah, like that's a long preamble to why I'm doing this. First, before we get into it, I want to express my sincerest thank yous to everyone who supported me over on Patreon. Just the fact that people care enough to go outside of YouTube to watch any of my content or to talk with me, it means so much. So thank you so much. I wanted to do this video and just kind of interact with everybody, thank each person who commented on it individually, and just kind of talk with you guys a little bit more. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these. So let's start off with the very first comment, and this is by Mr. Lupe Moreno. Lupe Moreno. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Lupe, for supporting the Patreon. Thank you for being here. Love you so much. But he says, what are your top 5 waifus? And only 2 can be from One Piece. I gotta say, these are the questions I honestly expected to be on here, and I'm so glad that it's the very first one on here because, all right, let's get into it. Only 2 from One Piece is a pretty generous handicap, to be honest. Like, I would honestly limit myself to only 1, in which case I would choose Boa Hancock. I know a lot of you would think that I would pick Nico Robin in the cowboy hat, but for me, Boa is just very much number 1. She's got it all. I don't know what you want me to say. A Virgo queen. After Boa, I might pick, honestly, Violet, from Dressrosa. Listen, you remember when Sanji was in Dressrosa and he was supposed to be looking after Zoro, like making sure that Zoro doesn't get lost? Normally, if Zoro is about to get lost, Sanji will just drop everything and go after him. But this time, he saw Viola dancing and he was just like, you know what? Fuck the whole crew, to be honest. Like, I don't need to be a Straw Hat anymore. I belong in Dressrosa, and I get it. So, honestly, I think I'm gonna put Boa, Hancock, and Viola in there. Now, there's still 3 others. Now, what's cool about this comment is that he doesn't say they have to be anime waifus, so right off the bat, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in Shigo. I literally have to. Okay, I still remember being a kid, and I don't remember anything from Kim Possible besides the naked mole rat, Ron. There was also like a big dude in a chair, which was weird because they were all in high school. So what, was he just like skipping school to be the guy in the chair? Whatever, it doesn't matter because Shigo is the main thing that I remember. That is exactly when my attraction to toxic women started. I remember looking at Shigo and being like, wow, you know, for some reason, I would really like it if she just beat me up. I want her to beat the daylights out of me. I was like 9. There's no reason for that. Going from Shigo, I gotta throw in my girl Yennefer from The Witcher. Something about a really good toxic romance done right. And her and Geralt are just made for each other. I deeply enjoy that romance. They both have messed up a lot, but something about Yennefer's character, it's just like, I mean, who doesn't like a good raven-haired sorceress? You know what I mean? And last, but certainly not least, I have to throw in my girl Tifa. Listen, the Tifa versus Aerith discourse, to me, I never really understood, because if we're arguing for Cloud, it's just like, Aerith is Zack's girl, so it just doesn't make any sense. I understand the appeal for Aerith. No disrespect to her character. I love her a whole lot as well. But listen, I got a thing for like, whenever you're talking about shipping, like the childhood friends, like there just isn't an argument for anybody else. And Tifa is a fantastic character in her own right, so she makes the list. And while we're at it, I think I'm gonna bump a One Piece character off so that I can add another video game character in there. So I'm sorry, Viola, but I obviously can't knock off Boa Hancock. So I'm gonna knock off Viola to put in my girl Karlach from Baldur's Gate 3. And listen to me, okay, if you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, I'm gonna try to not spoil anything about that game. It is fantastic. It won Game of the Year for a reason. I remember people were mad that Spider-Man didn't win, it's ridiculous. It's truly, you should play it for God's sake. but it's a phenomenal game, and the romance in that game is fantastic. I had so much fun, and Karlach was my very first romance. I know a lot of people went for Shadowheart first. For me, it was a no-brainer. I'm on like my 5th playthrough of Baldur's Gate because I still haven't done everything in that game, but even now, it's so hard to not romance Karlach. This is the playthrough I need to romance Shadowheart because I haven't. Like, this is my 5th playthrough, and I still haven't romanced Shadowheart. She's like the most romanced person in the entire game, apparently. I saw a poll, but like, for me, it's always Karlach. That is my canon romance in Baldur's Gate, and she's just perfect in every single way. So my final 5, that is going to be Boa Hancock, Karlach from Baldur's Gate 3, Shigo from Kim Possible, Yennefer from The Witcher, and Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. I love each and every one of those characters. They have so much to bring to the table, and that's a great comment. Thank you so much again, buddy. So moving on from Mr. Lupe, we're gonna go to Mr. Purple Dip, and he says, no question, but I love your content, man. You are hilarious. I love you. Thank you for commenting. Moving on from Purple Dip, we're gonna go to Mr. Poopy Dick Parker, and he says, what's the worst anime you couldn't stop watching? Man, I'm gonna have to give it to, well, first of all, thank you for supporting the Patreon, Mr. Poopy Dick Parker. Because usually if I don't like it, I just won't watch it. So I'm trying to think what anime was so bad, but I just couldn't stop watching it. But I guess, oh, you know what? No, I know how to answer this. Boruto. That is without a doubt the worst anime that I couldn't stop watching because I have to watch it, not only for the content that Kakashi is hilarious it's going to go into, but when I was watching it before, I was watching it for the slice of life moments that they had sprinkled in between. Like, you know, there's episodes where Kakashi and Guy go to like the hot springs and stuff like that. That was funny. It's filler, and it has nothing to do with the plot because the plot is just them fighting aliens for some reason. Why are ninjas fighting aliens? I cannot wait to talk about that when I get to that part in the series. It's just such an asshole. It's such an asshole. It's so ridiculous, and I hate Boruto so much, but I tried to stick with it. It eventually lost me. I obviously do not watch it anymore, and people talk about the manga being good, and it's just like, I don't care. I do not give a damn. And you know what? I can't care because of how they ruined like the ending of Naruto with Kaguya, and it's just like, I don't know. There's so many people that I see on Twitter, bad takes to be honest, horrible takes, that about like how Kaguya wasn't like, how Kaguya was foreshadowed and how it didn't ruin the ending of Naruto. Dude, it absolutely did. Kishimoto like literally pulled that out of his ass. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. Like, he didn't foreshadow that at all. This wasn't like 5D chess he was playing. He literally just couldn't think of a way to beat Madara, so he invented Kaguya and then brought her in. And just the fact, like, think about how we were building up Madara for the entire series. He had this aura that no one could stop him, and his ideals needed to be challenged. His ideals needed to be defeated, basically. Like, we needed to philosophically defeat Madara, the strongest ninja, who at this point is just like running amok across the entire ninja world. He needed to be defeated by an actual person, not by plot, okay? Because if I'm Madara, I'm not learning my lesson. If you reanimate me in Boruto, I'm doing the same thing again. Like, can we think about that for a second? Literally everybody else in Naruto learned their lesson. Everybody. Even Danzo learned his lesson because the things that he did manifested themselves as Sasuke, and he chased him down and murdered him. So at the very end of his life, he thought, damn, maybe I didn't always do the right thing, but everything I did for the village. It's still reflection, you know? So he at least can look at the things that he's done and objectively be like, this is what happened, and this is like, you know, maybe how I would do things differently now. But with Madara, it's literally just plot. If I'm Madara, I'm up in ninja heaven or ninja hell, wherever I am, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I was hoed. I would have beat all y'all if the plot didn't catch up with me. I just hate it, and I hold so much resentment in my heart for Boruto because they ran with that plot line, kind of like they expanded on Kaguya and made aliens be on the moon. But at first I couldn't stop watching because I wanted to see the moments that Naruto and all the others earned, like all of the happy moments with their family, like the Naruto, Hinata, and like Boruto existing isn't a crime. The fact that we have to follow him and his story like he's Jaden Smith, like any of us give a fuck, that's his crime, and that's what I'll always be pissed about. But it's cool seeing Sasuke trying to figure out how to be a dad. It's cool seeing Kakashi playfully giving advice to Sasuke about being a dad. But I just think if there was ever going to be a sequel series, we do not need to have it follow the most successful ninja of all time's son and see him try to live up to his father's footsteps. I don't care. Literally none of us care. And if you like Boruto, I swear, no shade. I'm glad you like it. I'm not calling you dumb, or I'm not saying you have bad taste. I'm just saying, as far as investment goes, by far one of the worst examples of anime that I've ever seen. And the fact that people keep trying to like included into anime discussions on Twitter, like, you know, Naruto, like, who's the best new Jin? And they put Boruto in there with Jujutsu Kaisen. Boruto is not a real show, guys. It's literally Jaden Smith, the anime. I swear to God, it's okay to like that. You know, it's okay to like things that are objectively bad, okay? I like 8 Crazy Nights. It's a really bad Adam Sandler movie. You don't think I would? I'm not gonna go out in the streets and argue why it's a good movie. I just like it because I like Adam Sandler. And so that's just my problems with it. It's one of the worst animes that I've ever seen, but I couldn't stop watching because of my investment with the other characters, which to me is another example of why it has failed as an anime. My only investment in the show was characters from Naruto. None of the original characters, I swear, I could not tell you any like character's name that's new. At all. I couldn't. I know Boruto and I know Sarada. I don't even know who's the snake dude that's in their team. Orochimaru's son, which is another thing. Why is Orochimaru? Why does he have a penthouse outside of the village? He is a war criminal, a whole terrorist that assassinated the president of the Leaf Village. I'm just gonna keep going, I guess. I'm already mad. I'm only on the 3rd comment and I'm already upset. But yes, thank you, Mr. Poopy Dick Parker, but that is my answer. Boruto is the worst anime that I couldn't stop watching. The next comment is by Pepper Blackburn, and it says, "You ever smoke a little grass when watching One Piece?" And to that I say, duh. Don't we all? I want to thank you, Miss or Mr. Pepper. Thank you for supporting me over on the Patreon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for leaving that comment. But I think that's obvious. I mean, you could look in my eyes and tell that that's really obvious. Want to smoke a little grass? Watch some One Piece? Whose dog is this? The next comment on the Patreon post is by #1 Kid Pirates fan. Wow. Is that for real? Is there a fan club? But he says, since Whole Cake Island is one of your favorite arcs, who are your top 10 Charlotte siblings besides Katakuri? Jesus, there are definitely more than 10. I've just realized that. I don't know if I could even name 10, but I guess we could try. Oh, and that's right, Pudding. Oh, well, Pudding's obviously in there. I would probably put Pudding, I suppose, at the top. So it would be Pudding, and then Smoothie, and then the twins. And so then after that, the Mermaid, Charlotte Praline. So that's 5. I guess we would need 5 more. She got some ugly ass kids, man. This is crazy. I don't like any, I don't like anybody else, man. I don't think. And he said just the siblings too. So I can't branch out. I can't do just the Charlotte Pirates. It's literally just the siblings. I don't like any of them at all. I'll be honest. We got 5. Because I'm looking at Flampe, the girl that shot Luffy with a poison dart and then insulted Katakuri, like after he was just like, don't get involved in our fight. She spat on him too. And Katakuri had to knock her out with Conqueror's Hockey. Listen, I think we're gonna have to stop at 5, dude. I'm sorry. If you want me to just, because then I'm just gonna like say 5 more. I don't like anybody else on this list. This is crazy. Sorry to hoe you, '1 Kid Pirates fan, but you got a 5 out of me. Literally everybody else in that family or any other sibling, I don't care. I don't like them, to be honest. So that is 5, and they are in order for me in that order as well. Those are the siblings that I like the most. Obviously, Katakuri excluded. So yeah, sorry. I don't like anybody else. The next comment is by TH Cynical or Thickenol. And they say, I just want to say that your channel and perspective on things mean a lot to me. I've been a big fan of One Piece for over a decade and you made it even funnier and I am here for the ride with you. My question to you, sir, what's your favorite part of the community you've built? What was the best experience you've had, whether it be chatting with other content creators or personal relationships you may have built in regards to your current success? First of all, man, thank you so much. Like I say to everybody that I'm going to respond to on here, it means a lot that you guys are here on this Patreon. Just even if you watch my videos, it means so very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm overcome. That was a really sweet like beginning of your comment. Thank you so much for that. My favorite part of the community that I've built, I would say off the top of my head immediately the comments that I read and the comments that I read like in my Discord and things like that. Just reading about the different like perspectives that you guys have, to be honest. Like I like to think that it's just kind of like there's a lot of funny things in One Piece. There's also a lot of sad things in One Piece. There's a lot of different things that none of us consider about different characters that we like and different villains that we hate and different stuff like that. And all of these things being brought to light happens when we all talk to each other, which was my whole motivation for starting this channel. I didn't really have too many people in my life that I could talk about One Piece with, and now I have so many people that I could just pick up my phone or get on the computer and talk to whoever I want about something that excites me about a new chapter or something that I just remember about an arc that I read and that I loved. And that's the coolest part to me, I think. Best experience that I've had, I have a really, like, it makes me feel really good when people comment that they're having a bad day and my video somehow made their day better or something like that. I've been there. I know how it sucks to just like be down in the dumps, but then like a really good like YouTube video or a really good song or something like that can really just bring you out of it. And like, that means a lot to me because it's the reminder that I don't just like, I'm not just goofing around, or I am, and I am just being myself, but just being myself helps people kind of like come to terms with something that they're going through. And it just like, it's another way that we're all connected. And I say this all the time, like the more of yourself that you put out into the world is always a good thing. And I used to not believe that. I used to not really know who I was, even, not to get dramatic, but I didn't know a lot of things about myself or how I wanted to help people. I just knew that I did. And so it just means a lot that I can just make people laugh, and that apparently means a lot to so many people. And it's just like, that's a really good experience. Whenever I read those comments, I try to respond to them every single time because, yeah, dude, I know what it's like. Sometimes when you're down in the dumps and stuff like that and you feel like you can't talk to anybody, sometimes you just need like a good laugh. You know, sometimes, you know, Joy Boy really is the cure-all for any situation. And it means a lot that even one thing that I say can help people like that. So I would have to say that. Also, the different collaborations that I've done, they've all been great. They've all been really funny. Psy, we and him did a collab. It was hilarious. The folks at that One Piece talk, that was awesome. We hung out for the agenda piece with Jay and everybody there. Met a lot of really cool people. Teching is amazing. Haven't really collabed with him, but he reached out a bunch of times and was the first person that shouted me out. He's an amazing guy. That felt really cool. But again, that ties back into the whole community aspect of us all getting to share our perspectives of One Piece. All of those people are really cool people who see something in One Piece that I either haven't yet or only realized it when I talk to them. And it's been a blast every single time, and I can't wait for more experiences like that. Above all, it's just, for me, like you ask what is the best part about the community that we've built? The best part is the community. Like, not to be cliche, but it's the friends we've made along the way. Like, this whole thing is just one big adventure to me. I don't know if anyone's noticed, I'm not that much of a businessman. I'm not a businessman at all. This whole thing is just an experiment on having fun, and it means a lot whenever people take time out of their day to stop by and have a little fun with me. So once again, thank you so much for that comment, Mr. TH Cynical, or Thick in Nicole. Thank you so much for that comment. Moving on, we're gonna go to Nora Rose Weiss, and they say, what's your favorite fight from Thriller Bark? First of all, Nora, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna say Zoro versus Ryuma, the zombie, just because what it means at that moment in the story, and I wish we got more of that in Wano. I thought that's what it was setting up. Apparently not, or maybe Oda was just going through something. I don't know. I really wanted some type of Ryuma closure in Wano. We didn't get it, but what it meant at the time, like, especially since I don't know how many people, like, I think at that point it was definitely just a theory that Zoro was somehow connected to the samurai in Wano, or even Ryuma himself, because of how much Ryuma's design, like from the one shot that Oda did, looked exactly like Zoro. So it was like this huge theory in the One Piece community. So that setup, that was a really big moment. Like, there's a lot of good moments in Thriller Bark. So like, that fight isn't my favorite moment in Thriller Bark, but when I think about fights, I think it's probably my favorite fight. I would say the docking joke with Frankie and the others when they're all fighting Gecko. That is funny. But it's like, I don't know that that's my favorite fight, to be honest. Like, they all work together. It was really cool. And then when Kuma showed up, like, again, that's not really much of a fight. It's really just a fight that facilitates like a cool moment from Zoro and even Sanji. in that arc. So I would say just purely just off the fight itself, I'm gonna say Zoro versus Ryuma. Moving on for that, the next comment is by Mr. Billy Jawanka. Thank you for being here and thank you for supporting the Patreon. And he says, what's your top 10 favorite anime and why are they your favorite? So 10 is a big number, but I definitely have 10 in me, so let's get to the bottom of this. So number 1 is very obviously One Piece. I guess I should talk about these as I list them, but I feel like it's obvious that number 1 for me would obviously be One Piece. It changed my life, literally not just in the aspect of like now this is my job. It changed my life when I first started reading it. Like I don't know how many times I've talked about this on the channel, but I didn't get into One Piece when I was a kid. I got into One Piece like a couple years ago. And when I did, I was working overnights and it just like, I just wasn't where I wanted to be in life, but I also just like the perspective that I had on life, it was just completely different. And One Piece, and specifically the character of Luffy, showed me a completely different way to look at the world that I really now consider like that was like a huge turning point in my life. It saved my life. It really did. Like not to sound dramatic, but it changed my life and it saved my life. Like it gave me a new perspective and it made me just like a so much more joyous and optimistic person. And I feel like a lot of people have videos on that. I almost made a video like titled Why One Piece Saved My Life, but there are so many people who've made that video. I didn't want to beat, you know, the dead horse, but yeah, easily it has contributed so much to my life, and it's also the best story that I've ever seen in my entire life. So One Piece is number 1. After that, I really like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I guess I'm gonna like list these in terms of writing because that's just how my brain is organizing them right now, and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is just perfect. Like regular Full Metal Alchemist is good too, sure, but Brotherhood is literally just like, it's perfect. Like the writing is phenomenal. After that, it's definitely like Naruto. Naruto's an amazing show. I have so many problems with it now that I understand like what it means to be a good story and what it means to have good characters and how Kishimoto dropped the ball on like so many things. I mean, we just went on like a rant about how Boruto is just the bane of my existence. So you can understand why Naruto's so conflicting to me, but it's still a great story and it's wonderful. And I hate like talking about the negatives to where people think that I just don't like the show. I love the show and it's a powerful show and it's got some great characters. My disappointment is, you know, where it went and how it ended kind of, and just like the characters that Kishimoto forgot about along the way, but it's still in there. So we will lock that in. So that's 3. And I don't know if these will be in order at all. I know One Piece is definitely number 1, but after that, maybe you can consider all of the rest of these interchangeable. After that, I would say an anime that I really truly enjoyed, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. I really liked that. And I liked that one because it was just kind of like short. It was like a mini adventure that had some really cool fights, but also like some really deep moments, and also a really cool like romantic premise of like I think his name was Shiro, Emiya, and Ataka. Then I learned more about it and how I'm pretty sure it's just like a show that came from a hentai game, and you know, it's making me want to take it off the list, I'm not gonna lie, but I still had a really good time watching the show. So what is that, 4? So the next we're gonna do is Spy Family and also Kaguya-sama Love is War, and both of these for the same reasons. They are amazing, heartfelt, comedic like triumphs of storytelling. Like it is amazing. If you have not seen Spy Family, I find that ridiculous, to be honest, because I mean, it was really popular a couple years ago, but it's an amazing story. It still holds up. It's phenomenal. I haven't gotten into the manga yet, but it makes me really want to. It might be the only show to make me care about the manga strictly because of like the characters and like my investment in seeing how this whole thing wraps up, but it's an amazing story. Kaguya-sama Love is War is amazing for all of the same reasons. Fantastic. The characters are so funny. The premise is so much simpler, so much goofier, but also so heartfelt, and it connects you to like what everybody is going through and how everybody feels, and the conclusion is amazing as well. I had so much fun watching these two animes, and when I think about it, they're pretty much the same show. I mean, blonde dude, dark-haired girl. There's a pink-haired girl also in the mix. The blonde dude is the straight man. The dark-haired girl is like, you know, kind of quirky, but she has like a playful side, but also a really serious side where she's like no nonsense sometimes. And then there's a pink-haired girl that's literally just goofing. She's literally just goofing around. They are like Fujiwara and Anya hilarious. I really think we need to give them their own spin-off show. Like, I love both of them so much. That's 6. After that, I want to give it to Psycho-Pass. So that's 7 we're up to now. Psycho-Pass was really, really good. The first season's really good. Like, the first season of Psycho-Pass is it's so amazing. Like, philosophically, like, I don't talk about this nearly as much as I want to on the channel, but I'm like a philosophy nerd. So anytime I get into any concept where it's going really in depth on why we exist, what does it mean to be right or wrong, what does it mean for crime to be like this, like what is justice, like any questions that don't really have answers, it's just based on your own interpretation of those questions. I love it. I love it. One of my favorite books is called The Pig That Wants to Be Eaten. It's like 101 questions for armchair philosophers. It's just a book with question after question on deep philosophical concepts that don't really offer you an answer, just stuff to think about. And Psycho-Pass is kind of like that. It's a little bit frustrating in that after the first season, it kind of like, I lost investment in it, to be completely honest, because it's not really hitting as hard as it did the first season. Like, the first season is kind of like Batman and the Joker, and it's like this really interesting premise and like set in like this dystopian future environment. And the first season ended on a note that's like, I don't want to say it was like ambiguous, but it definitely was. It was a great ending. It was wonderful. It was great. And then they just kept going with it. And I don't think season 2 was bad, but I think season 3 was. I don't remember anything about it. That's the thing. But I vividly remember the first season. I think they did something similar to Tokyo Ghoul, which isn't making this list, unfortunately. So 3 more. We need slots for 8, 9, and 10. I feel bad, but like I really like Bleach. I do. I don't know that I'm putting it in my top 10. I'll be honest. Still need 3 more to go. Now, I want to put Jujutsu Kaisen in there. I do, and to be honest, I think I'm going to put Jujutsu Kaisen instead of Bleach because he said anime. He did not say manga. Okay, I have no spoilers for what's happening in Jujutsu Kaisen right now. No spoilers. But if I didn't know where the story was going, I would think Jujutsu Kaisen is easily one of the best animes ever. I think it's been a hit show. Like the season that just came out, phenomenal. I don't know, man. I hope I don't know, man. I don't know. But even the storytelling things that I think Bleach was trying to set up with, which is like a dude in high school that's just kind of dealing with the powers that he has. I think Jujutsu Kaisen kind of does that better than Bleach does. Because my main problem with Bleach is like, Ichigo can't be half everything, dude. How is he half Quincy, half Soul Reaper, and half Hollow? How is that good storytelling? Why and how? Just how and why and how? Like, there's convenient for the plot, and then there's just like insulting my intelligence. I'm sorry. I don't think I ever fully recovered from that. So yeah, the question was for anime, so I'm gonna put JJK in there, to be honest. Like, I can't describe the hype I felt in this past season of television that we just watched from Jujutsu Kaisen. No one can deny that. If you're a Jujutsu Kaisen hater, it's because you know where the story is going and you know what's about to happen, and I'm not taking that from you, all right? I'm mad too. I have no idea where to even go where we are inside the manga. So I get it, I understand, but he said anime. And you know, so I'm keeping it in there. So we're locking Jujutsu Kaisen in there. So we just need 2 more for this top 10 list, okay? Now, I know My Hero's not gonna make it in there. Every time I turn on My Hero, they're just like, they're having field day experiments outside or some stupid shit like that. Like, will y'all get out there and fight some villains? Come on. So we just need 2 more, and I think I'm gonna slide in one that might be controversial, but I enjoyed as a kid. I haven't watched it in a while because I really like the English dub, but Case Closed. I don't know if any of you guys watched Case Closed when it was on Adult Swim when we were growing up, but that was my jam, y'all. That was my jam. That little kid was solving crimes, baby. But after that, the final one I'm gonna have to give it to is obviously gonna have to be Dragon Ball Z. I think that's a cop-out, I guess, to be honest. That's why I didn't want to include it on this list, but it's like, you know, you got to. Like, Dragon Ball Z is a story I feel like every 90s kid knows inside and out, and it's phenomenal. I mean, yeah, the only reason I didn't want to like include it on this is because it's obviously in everybody's top 10, you know what I mean? Like, that's like the anime. That's like the anime. When I first started watching, like, the very first anime I've ever seen in my entire life was Speed Racer. I'll never forget it. I was laying in bed and it came on and I was like, I guess that's anime. And then like the next day was the start of the Saiyan saga. But I'll never forget Raditz touchdown on Earth, and it was, I was hooked ever since. I loved anime ever since. comments. So yeah, for this video, that's gonna be my top 10 list. I'll probably make an entire video later retconning this list, but off the top of my head, those are the anime that personally mean the most to me, and I like them all a whole lot. The next comment is by Mr. John Mark Uwagbe, and thank you so much for being here and for supporting the Patreon. And he says, thank you for all the amazing content. My question is, how do you plan to celebrate the end of One Piece? Personally, I plan to take all of Oda's SBS sections and make them into a single book. That's awesome. That is a really awesome idea, man. I cannot wait to, well, I can wait to see that, because then that means the story's over and then we're both crying, but that's gonna be a really awesome thing. But for the end of the series, I'm probably gonna do like a really heartfelt video, because I mean, we're all, when One Piece ends, dude, the world is going to cry. Like, I think, like, obviously not the entire world, but there's gonna be like, all of us that watch it, dude, it's gonna be like, we're all just gonna like check on each other like periodically. We're all just going to be inconsolable no matter how it ends. It's gonna be the end. It's gonna be like, dude, I don't even know, man. I really don't even know. That's almost like scary to consider. But I mean, I like to think that when it happens, Oda's gonna craft it in a way that he even helps us accept that it's happened. So like, I don't have any plans. I just know that I'm gonna be very, very like heartfelt. I like to think I'm gonna be jolly and accepting, but you know, who knows? But that's gonna very much be an impulsive thing when it comes out. Moving on to the next comment by Mr. or Mrs. Gores PTDPTMS. Is that an address? What is it? Well, anyway, he says, do crabs think fish can fly? Holy shit. Yeah, dude, probably. That's crazy. You know, when you said that, I immediately thought about Mr. Krabs, and he's just walking outside, asking himself that very same question, like, arg, all these fish flying around me restaurant. The next comment is by Ever Reaper, and thank you for being here, and thank you so much for supporting the Patreon. And this comment says, do you think Luffy is the strongest in One Piece, and when are we getting more Jimmy Scoops? Well, I think Luffy will be the strongest in all of One Piece, end of series. I think, this is what I think, honestly. Like, I think Luffy is the one shonen protagonist that I have seen in all of the anime that I've seen. He's the one character that has the potential to rival Goku, not in terms of like literal power, like if we're power scaling, but as far as like character goes, like the character that will actually like step up and be #1 under the sun. Luffy is the only person that has the potential to match that, to match how iconic Goku is in today's world. And by that same notion, I believe he's meant to be the strongest in One Piece, but by the end of the series, like, he's still a goofy little kid. And more Jimmy Scoops is actually coming very soon. In fact, the very next like main upload on this channel, the very next hilarious video will be a Jimmy Scoops video. I'm gonna go over that a little bit more at the end, but yeah, you can look forward to that. Jimmy Scoops will definitely be the next hilarious video on the channel. Like I said, we've already got the art for it, and I'm so ready. Like, that is gonna be so funny. It's gonna be Jimmy Scoops, Big News Morgans, and Stussy at Big Mom's Tea Party, and I can't wait for everybody to see that. Ever Reaper also says, also, love your content, keep it up. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for being here and for leaving these comments. The next comment is by Dominic Rosselli, and they say, do you think we'll ever see Cowboy Hat Robin again? And if so, how likely is it that Oda gives it back to us on Elbaf? Ooh, well, thank you for that comment, Dominic, because obviously that's something that I want to see very badly. I mean, if you know me at all, you know that I want to see Miss All Sunday make her grand return sometime soon. I think we all want that, right? But I'll never give up hope. Also, I'll never say never. That's my philosophy on anything, to be honest. How likely we'll see it in Elbaf? I don't know, because you know that's gonna be like the land of the giants, and that's like a Viking aesthetic. Do Vikings wear cowboy hats? And I mean, I'm honestly asking, because if they do, yeah, I would love to see it. I would love to see that. Let's keep our hopes up, Dominic. We never know. We might get that in Elbaf. The next comment is by the Duke of Dukes, and he says, with your experience with shrooms, are you interested in trying other psychedelics or giving them a wide berth for now? I always had a great time. I'm not turned away from them at all. So first, let me say, I'm definitely not giving them a wide berth. I've always enjoyed, like, but here's what I'll say before I say that. Obviously, I don't want to be the guy that like endorses anything like this and just tells people, well, you should just do it, bro. I think that while these things, they are fun, I think that it's important to be responsible no matter what you do with your time, with your body, no matter what you do. I think it's important to be responsible. And for me, it's always like a spiritual healing journey. Like, even if you are doing something like this just for fun, you should be responsible and you should be taking respect for this thing, because at the end of the day, you're rewiring your brain. But as far as anything else other than that, I would say I am staying away from it, just because if it's not natural, like if it does not come from the earth, I typically, like, if anything made in the lab, I'll just say, guys, just stay away from. That is Mugi Goof's advice for literally anything. If they make it in the lab, just don't bother. Like, it's just not worth it. You don't know what people put in anything, you know, and you just, like, everybody wants to have fun, but you know, I got trust issues. I'll just say that. So I guess I'll just say to that, and you know, never say never, true, but there are some that I would typically just stay away from, but not because I'm turned off of the idea of tripping altogether, just because I'm skeptical on anything like man-made or anything like that. But if you put something natural right in front of me and say, hey, we're gonna go meet God, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably gonna go ahead and do that with you. The next question we have is by the commenter known as Zephyrs, which sounds like a guy from the video game Tales of Arise. I'm pretty sure his name was Zephyr, but either way, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for supporting the Patreon. And this comment says, have you ever thought about doing something similar for other classic animes? I think a Hunter x Hunter one could have some potential for head assery. So this is something I'd like to clear the air about with everybody here right now. I have not actually seen Hunter x Hunter. And I haven't because I do not want to get disappointed. I know that the story isn't over. I know that the manga isn't finished, and that just deeply... I don't want to do that to myself. I'll be honest. I hate getting into stories that have like a bad ending, i.e. Game of Thrones. But when we were all watching that, we didn't know it was going to have a bad ending. But if I knew, I still would have watched it, but I still like, that's what I don't like. But you know what's worse than that? Getting invested in the story that's not finished, okay? And an example of this is the hit story Nana. Okay, Nana's not finished at all. And I know so many people that are actually just like, they cry about that still, okay? And because of that, I can't start Nana. I know that it's a great story. There's so many people that have told me about it, but I just like, it's not over. I can't do it to myself. I truly can't. Because why? I'm just gonna lay awake thinking about where the story goes. I can't do that to myself. That might change also. I don't know. I definitely think now the potential for us getting into Hunter x Hunter, it's not impossible. It's totally not impossible. We could totally get into some Hunter x Hunter shenanigans. And I know that apparently the author's like still working on finishing it, but it's like, you know, so is George R.R. Martin with those Game of Thrones books. So it's literally the only thing I have to say about that. Moving on to the next comment by Mr. Squeaks Squeakers, and he says, what's your favorite gag in One Piece? Can be a recurring gag or a one-time joke. I think my favorite gag in the entire story, though, has got to be Luffy falling asleep whenever people give him their life story. That is so funny to me, and I swear to God, it happens every time. If you sit Luffy down and you try to tell him why you need him to topple your government, he will fall asleep. You give him a grilled cheese sandwich and he'll just do it. Like, he's like, I just wanted the grilled cheese sandwich. I don't care. Okay, so Dofi turned everybody into toys and enslaved this entire island. I don't give a shit about that. Rebecca gave me a lunchbox, and so I'm gonna punch that guy in the face. The most egregious example, though, was in Fishman Island. Jimbei, somebody that he loves Jimbei to death, explains the entire history of like why human and Fishman relations are the way that they are. Luffy could not be bothered to stay awake for 3 minutes and woke up like, all right, well, I'm glad all that talking's done. Who are we punching? Definitely my favorite gag. Luffy's so stupid. I love him so much. The next comment is by Mr. Monographic Single-Headed, and they say, what character is the funniest of them all so far? What scene was the funniest and why? I'm gonna guess that we're talking about One Piece here, and when we're talking about what character is the funniest of them all so far, for me, the answer will always be Luffy. He is an idiot. He is our beloved crackhead, and he's not joking. He is just actually that stupid. But the thing about Luffy is, he's so funny when he's not joking, but also he will engage in jokes. Like, he does impressions, he goofs around with Usopp and Sanji, and like bounces off of people comedically. He is both funny when he's not trying and when he is trying. He is truly a comedy genius, which is why Gear 5 is so dangerous. In the hands of a seasoned comedian, a guy who can just become Super Saiyan Bugs Bunny, that's dude, it's like giving the Green Lantern's ring to a lunatic, dude, and he's just doing whatever he wants. It's crazy. But as for what scene was the funniest and why, that is a hard question to ask. Just off the top of my head, Luffy putting the zombie back in the ground at Thriller Bark, Frankie telling Luffy that the guy on the ship is just a friend of his brother's, and Luffy mishearing that, and Frankie just like, I don't, you know what? Sure, that's exactly what I just said. A shipman coding Frankie's brother, like that truly gets me every single time. Another thing that gets me every single time is another Luffy and Frankie moment where they're at the Coliseum in Dressrosa, and Frankie's like, listen, like, we are sneaking into this entire island, all right? I don't care, like, I know you need to compete in this tournament because you need to get that fruit. That's your brother's fruit. I get it. We can do that. Just promise me you will not use your real name. And Luffy's like, I got it, no problem. And then literally as soon as that sentence is done, they hand him the sign up form, and Luffy's like, Luffy, like he immediately starts signing his name. Frankie knocks him over the head, and this makes Luffy be like, I meant Lucy. And so now Luffy is Lucy throughout the entire tournament arc in Dressrosa. There's truly so many funny moments in all of One Piece. I don't know that I can think of the absolute funniest one. I'm gonna be honest, there's so many. So I'll just list those, and the last one I'll list is when Luffy and Buggy were running through Impel Down. Them as a team, Jesus, they're so funny. I cannot wait to redo those videos and do Impel Down specifically so that I can touch on that a lot more. Moving on to the next comment, and this is also by Mr. Monographic Single-Headed, and he says, which Gorosei would make the best comedian? That is, why would you say that? I hate all of those old men. I don't know. I mean, Saint Saturn right now, I guess he's the funniest because he's literally trying to turn off a computer that's been going for, at this point, like, I don't know how long it's been going, but for us, it seems like 3 months the broadcast has been going, and he's just breaking computers frantically in that lab trying to turn it off. So for me, I guess I would call Saint Saturn the funniest if it wasn't for Kuma's backstory and the grudge that I personally have against him. That doesn't feel right. So I guess the pterodactyl Gorosei, maybe he would be funny. I don't know. I hate them all so much, man. Moving on from there, the next comment is by Mr. Purple Fox, and they say, what devil fruit power would you pick if you could pick anything? Canon, and if you could just pick any crazy power. Canon, I love the Mara no Mi, like the flame fruit. I just love flame powers in general. That's another thing that I think about, like whenever I'm really into astrology. My mom was too, and I'm an Aries, so I always like to think that like I correspond that shit with like Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I think if you're like a fire sign, that means you're a firebender and stuff like that. Like I used to be a kid just like trying to firebend all around the house. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I still, whenever I'm done cleaning, I just start firebending all over the house. I love fire. I don't know what you want me to say. So I really like that fruit, so I would pick that one. Any crazy power that I can think of, then I'm just thinking of different anime powers, in which case, what's the power that Minato has in Naruto? He teleports, basically, like that. I would choose that. It would be between fire and teleportation, like that fast movement, because I hate traffic. I hate traffic with a burning passion. Swear to God, the only thing I would, well, not the only thing I would use it for, but I would be all over the place with teleportation. I would love it so much. But thank you again for the comment, Mr. Purple Fox. But we are going to keep going, and the next comment is by Mr. Dylan Garcia. And he says, what anime is the funniest? What character do you think is the funniest of all time? Well, I don't want to sound basic, but again, I'm going to have to pick One Piece. It really is the funniest anime that I've ever seen. I know a lot of people talk about Gintama. I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited. That's why I'm really excited about this whole YouTube thing, because I get to start these animes that you guys recommend me, and now I get to even do the polls. So whenever you guys really want me to start something like Gintama or do content on the channel like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, I can put a poll on the Patreon and you guys can like decide that for yourselves. That can be the very next video that comes out on the channel. So I'm really excited to get into these shows, but I know Gintama is supposed to be really, really funny, but I personally have not seen it. But every anime that I've seen, they are funny for their own reasons, but One Piece is really funny because of how invested that you get with the characters, and the jokes that happen like are so believable because you know these people are idiots. These Straw Hats, these heroes that we're following, they are lunatics. They are dumb people doing dumb things all over the place. And it is so funny. The running gags, the one-off jokes, it's truly the funniest of all time. And as far as characters, like I said earlier, I'm gonna say Luffy, again, is the funniest character in One Piece. I know a lot of people might think it's Buggy. I have no problem with that. All right, Buggy is hilarious too. It's just the problem with Buggy is there were times where Buggy wasn't funny. Luffy is literally always funny. And I think people would also say Usopp, but Usopp's realism holds him back for me. Like, Usopp is still a regular guy and he can make jokes and he probably would be a better comedian than Luffy. But just if you sat down next to Luffy and Usopp, Luffy's gonna make you laugh because he's gonna be picking his nose and trying to wipe the booger on Usopp. That's my point. So yeah, final answer. But the next comment is by Nathan Berg, and thank you so much for supporting the Patreon. Thank you for being here and leaving this comment. And Mr. Nathan Berg says, how many parts do you think Wano is Hilarious will have? I assume multiple for the many characters it has and the sheer amount of WTF moments in it. And I will tell you right now, I will go ahead and tell everybody, Wano is Hilarious right now as I'm outlining the story, because I'm outlining like a bunch of videos. I have aggressive ADHD. I'm doing like a whole bunch of things at once at all times. I don't know when Wano is Hilarious will come out, but it will have 3 parts, okay? Because there's a lot of perspectives. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about. And you're right, there's a lot of things that happen. So right now, it's going to have 3 parts. And we might expand on that a little bit like we did with Alabasta, where we made like a part 2 from King Cobra's perspective. But for right now, the main story of Wano, it's going to be in 3 parts, just like Wano has 3 acts. The next comment is by Antoine Baker, and they say, what do you think of doing the Jaya arc through the eyes of Blackbeard, Teach, and Bellamy the hyena? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't like Blackbeard too much, but also we don't really know too much about him. As a rule of thumb, I don't typically like to start writing jokes and like getting into the heads of characters that we don't really understand that well. Like I will do it and then I can like come up with like my own headcanon and things like that. But like, I just feel like with Blackbeard, he's too important of a character. Like there are better jokes that can be rooted in like realism or like reality for what the character actually represents, that I'm waiting to see what Oda actually does with Blackbeard so that I can make those jokes. Bellamy, on the other hand, that would be funny. That might be coming sooner than you think. I would love if we ever do Jaya, or not if we ever, I'm sure I'll get to it eventually. I want to do like all of the arcs. But when we get to Jaya, I feel like it has to be from Bellamy's perspective, right? Like that's gonna be hilarious. But the next comment is by Sleepy Panda, and they say, what do you think Sengoku and Garp did after Marineford? Did they even talk? Well, I think they would have had to. I think it would have been like maybe just one conversation, because I think at this point, both of those old men have made just terrible life decisions. I don't think that either of them are happy about any of the things that have happened in their lives, and I think that they have to live with that because, like, I don't know, if I'm Garp, I'm living with tremendous regret, to be completely honest. And in fact, Sengoku, I saw a Twitter post earlier. Sengoku was going to those warlord meetings with Doflamingo, the person who took his son away from him. And he was just sitting across the table. I can't respect it. I'm sorry. You would have had to see me. There are so many moments you would have had to see me. And then again at Marineford. Like, Oda's great at these moments that they give like extra context to like so many situations. But the situations like these just make me madder. Just make me so much madder. Like, why are Sengoku and Garp just comfortable being who they are? Why are they comfortable doing what they're doing? I'm sure there's more that we have to know, like maybe they're involved with Sword at some point. I think it would be ridiculous if they're not. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if Sengoku and Garp are not a part of Sword and they're just old men comfortable to do nothing while the Marines do horrible things all across this world? I don't know how to think about it, okay? It's the same feeling I get whenever I see Dragon doing absolutely nothing. I still don't know how, like, why he didn't crash out for Kuma. I don't know why they didn't crash out for Jenny. I don't understand it because I've spent all of my time in this world with Luffy, an unhinged crackhead that will crash out for a grilled cheese sandwich. So obviously if his friend is in trouble, he's gonna crash out for them, but maybe these are just different characters. I don't know. I just need to know more about them, but I would say they definitely had a conversation. I don't think Garp started the conversation. I think Sengoku probably told Garp, like, yeah, I'm stepping down. And Garp probably was like, whatever, yeah, I still hate myself because I let my son die. Going on to the next comment, it's by Griffin Oas. And they say, since Kakashi is Hilarious Part 3 was allowed on YouTube, will Part 4 be coming out on YouTube soonish? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because absolutely it will. In fact, the next hilarious video will be Jimmy Scoops. But after that, I'm thinking about it's either going to be Enies Lobby or it's going to be Kakashi is Hilarious Part 4. I've gotten a big chunk of Kakashi is Hilarious Part 4 written and a little bit of Enies Lobby taken care of as well. But Kakashi is Hilarious Part 4 is something I've been like really excited to get back to ever since it got taken down from YouTube. So obviously a little bit more of that is written because I'm really like excited and I've had so much time to prepare that. But Enies Lobby is like a crowd favorite, so I would understand understand if people would want me to get that out first. It just depends, but you're gonna be getting that soonish. I'm working on a new schedule for videos so I can get them out faster as well. And it's just a process with me. You guys know how ridiculous and scatterbrained that I am, so you know, God only knows, but it's definitely going to be soonish. I definitely want to get to that as fast as possible, so you can expect that. Well, I don't want to give you a timeline, but it's definitely going to be one of the more, like, in terms of like what hilarious videos that we get to, it's definitely going to be coming up pretty soon. The next comment is by Sean Green, and they say, will you still do JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is Hilarious? Man, okay, so listen, I'm going to put that, because I put that in a poll, and I don't remember, somebody else won. I think Water7 won, and I'm down. I'm willing to. But here's the thing, I'm really only willing to do that if you guys make me do it, because let me tell you something. There's two things that'll make me like drop a story completely. All right, two things. And one of those things is if there's a dog that dies, okay? Now, the other one is if there's any like SA involved, like that is something that just fundamentally just hurts like my soul. It disgusts me profoundly, and I have to just like, it's why I will never read Berserk. It's why I will never get into it at all. I believe you guys when you tell me it's a good story. No thank you. That will not be on this channel ever. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that first one where if there's a dog that dies, Araki for some reason loves to kill dogs. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm frustrated. So if we ever do, you guys will have made me do it, and I will either spend 45 minutes inside of a video talking about how much I hate that he decides to put this in his story, or I'll skip over it completely and you'll just have me coping, pretending that it's okay. But just know that it hurt me. So yeah, I guess that's my answer to that. The next comment is by Delalier, and they say, what's the show that got you into anime in the first place? Like I said earlier, the very first anime I ever saw was Speed Racer, and I guess that's like, I don't even count that because I don't know. I just know that they was racing. I think there was a monkey in the trunk too. I don't know if that's even true, but I would say like definitely the one that definitely did it was Dragon Ball Z. I remember Raditz touching down, and from there I was like, oh man, what's this? And then just every major moment that happened after that, playing all of the games, getting to know Akira Toriyama's like work, like man, R.I.P. It truly the like probably the most iconic story in like definitely the most iconic story in anime, for sure, in my opinion. For sure, the most iconic story ever. Set so many things into motion and started the entire shonen genre, I would say. So it would definitely be Dragon Ball Z that got me into anime, and from there, I just went to different stuff like Inuyasha and everything that was on Adult Swim, you know, when we were kids. So, but Dragon Ball Z was definitely first. And the final comment that is on this Patreon post is by Dominic Rosselli yet again, and they say, how much would you pay to see Robin's cowboy hat make a comeback on Elbaf? And let me say, I would give an entire YouTube check over that. I might give 3 YouTube checks just to see that happen. Because again, what does a Viking cowboy hat look like? What's going on there? I got to see that. But yeah, that looks like that's the end of this Patreon post. You guys weren't wildin' like I thought that it was going to be. I don't know why I expected it to be like crazy, but this was pretty good. I like that a whole lot. Thank you guys so much for everybody that commented. And as I said, going forward, the next hilarious video is going to be our boy Jimmy Scoops at Big Mom's Tea Party. You could expect a chapter review, although it doesn't look like there's a chapter review this week. I guess it's going to be next week, whatever. Also on my Patreon, they voted that I would play Elden Ring, and I'm honestly upset about that, but that is set to record, and we'll get that edited and put on the channel as well. Look, I already beat Elden Ring, but I'm starting a new playthrough for my PC run, and listen, I'm not having a good time. I have put that off for as long as I could, but I know that I need to do it. They voted for it on my Patreon, so that's going to be coming out soon as well, so you can expect that content as well. God, I'm actually really upset about that. Jeez, I become a different person when I play that game. That's why I can't stream it, and that's why I won't. I tried to stream it one day, and we did like a test stream, and literally everybody in there was like, maybe we can't stream this. It was bad. I was Mugiwara no angry that day. So yeah, it's bad, but it's coming. I'm about to, we'll get to that too. So that'll be coming soon. And like I said, it will be either Kakashi's Hilarious Part 4 or Eni's Lobby. I know so many people are looking forward to Eni's Lobby, me included, honestly. I've written a lot of that as well already. So it's really gonna be a toss up, but I have to get Jimmy Scoops out. I have to. I'm really excited to get that out and show you guys what I have planned for that video. But after that, I hope we can get to maybe some other anime. I'll put up some polls inside of the Patreon to see where you guys would want it to go. And maybe that's how we'll settle it for Kakashi is Hilarious Part 4. Maybe we'll have a poll between that and Enies Lobby, even though I just feel like that's setting Kakashi is Hilarious up for failure, if I'm being honest. But, you know, I'm here for the people. But once again, guys, thank you so much for being here. A huge thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Thank you for watching this video if you just wanted to stop by and listen to me answer all of these questions. And I just also want to thank everyone again for the support and the positivity. I say this as much as I can. Every time you interact with the world with positivity, you're only making it a better place. You know, like, we should do that as much as we can. Let's encourage ourselves to be better, encourage ourselves to be ourselves, because that will make the world better. And let's just be there for each other. And it means a lot that all of you have been here for me, and I hope in a lot of ways I can continue to be there for you. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you for watching, thank you for being interested, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.